Hey guys, what's up? Monster Trio here with another theory on One Piece, and well, it's more of a discussion and a theory on the new bounties that the Straw Hats are going to get after Dressrosa. So, I was looking through them, and I'm going to go from lowest to highest. So, people who I think will have the lowest bounties to the people who have the highest bounties on the crew. So we'll end with Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji, and we'll start at the bottom. So coming in last place with, I believe, what'll be around a 50, maybe just over a 50 million belly bounty is Nami. And I think that's just because, like, she clearly has talent, and she's probably debatably one of the smartest people on the crew in terms of in combat. She doesn't use brute force or anything, she uses trickery. But I mean, she's only got a 16 million belly bounty right now, and that was after she defeated Khalifa. Frankly, I don't think that was a justified bounty. I think she should have had a higher bounty because, I mean, they were the 7-something masters, the 7-step masters or something, I forget. But, like, she defeated one of them. I don't know how, like, she didn't get a higher bounty, but I think her bounty is going to jump to at least 50 million. She's also the navigator of Straw Hat crew, and obviously with everything Luffy's doing, I mean, she's just going to have to get a bigger bounty. And then everything that happened at Punk Hazard, everyone's going to get a higher bounty because everyone saw them at Punk Hazard on the video cameras. So I think that's also going to factor in. Okay. Now, I know this is just my opinion, so please tell me yours. For Brook, I believe Brook will have, he's the next lowest, and I believe he'll only get a 70 million belly bounty, maybe just over that as well. And I think that's because he hasn't done much, and I feel like, I don't know, I feel like he's not, like, out of everyone on the crew, I don't think he's the strongest. Um, and, I mean, there's one person, I mean, Usopp's weaker, but I'll get to that in a second. Um, so that's why I think he'll have like a 70 million belly bounty. But I think other than Usopp and Nami, Brook is the weakest person on the crew. Next weakest, who I believe will have an 80 million belly bounty, is Chopper. And the only way he won't get like an 80 million belly bounty is if they're like, oh yeah, he's still the Straw Hat's pet, and they bump it from like 50 to like 100 belly, like just as a joke, and he'll just still be ticked off about that. But hopefully he gets a real bounty soon, because like everyone wants to know like where the world government actually rates him in terms of strength. Okay, following Chopper, then we have Usopp. And I believe Usopp is going to break 100 million belly bounty because of everything that has happened in Dressrosa and the fact that he unlocked Haki. Now, personally, I don't know if he'd beat Brook in a one-on-one fight. I mean, Usopp's kind of good with setting traps and stuff like that, but I mean, it'd be tough to tell who would win that fight. But I think Usopp, because of all his fame and all of God Usopp and all of that stuff, I think that is why he'll have a higher bounty. Um, and so I have him at a bounty of 111 million belly. And the reason I say 111 is because the 111, I just feel like his nose is a giant one, and so that's why he'd have all ones. So I think, yeah, I think that's the bounty he'll have. Um, Next person I have on my list who would have the next highest bounty is Robin, and I have Robin at 145 million belly. And I think that's fair because she hasn't done anything like major. I mean, she obviously can read the poneglyphs still. Frankly, I think she should have had a higher bounty from the start for being able to read poneglyphs, but I feel like from her combat ability and how she's progressed, I feel like that's a justifiable, like almost doubling her bounty. I think she'll get definitely a bigger bounty in the future, but you have to be realistic with, you know, like they can't set these bounties incredibly high when you have people like Killer who are like the number 2 in like a Supernova's crew. Like Captain Kidd's like 470 million belly bounty, and like his number 2 is a 200 million belly bounty. So I mean, if Robin hit 200 million, like that'd be insane because like she's not even the monster trio. So I think she's down. She's gonna be like around 150, just below 150, like 145 is what I wrote down. So I think that's justified for her. The next highest I have, who maybe I'm gonna change that. I think it's gonna be so. The next person, sorry, the next person is gonna be Frankie, and I think he has shown incredible strength and endurance. I mean, with his fight with Senior Pink and then him taking down this factory, I mean, I think it was amazing. So I gave him a bounty of 170 million belly, and I think that's pretty justified, and I think that that'll end up being roughly what he gets. I mean, maybe a little lower. I can't see anything over 180. I think that anything over 180 would be way too high for him as of now because he can't use hockey, and I don't think he'll ever learn to use hockey because he's very like robot man. So yeah, and this is where I'm going to take a slight turn because this is where I think the next Straw Hat, their bounty is going to be above Frankie's. They're going to be the next bounty. So in my case, I think Bartolomeo or Bellamy will be the next Straw Hat. And so Bartolomeo's is 150, but he beat Gladius, so I feel like it'll go up to almost 200, like 190. And Bellamy's is already, and Bellamy's isn't going to go up because he didn't do anything. Bellamy's is at exactly 195, which I think would be perfect because he wouldn't be part of the monster trio, yet he can still use hockey. So you guys can argue this all you want. He can beat any Straw Hat in a fight other than the monster trio. You can argue it all you want, but I feel like he could definitely beat Frankie because he can use hockey, and Frankie wouldn't be able to keep up with his speed with his spring hopper. Maybe Robin, but I mean Robin's power's OP. Let's be real. Like she really needs to get nerfed. But okay, so I think that's where the next Straw Hat will tie in. So then we're going on to Sanji. He's the next highest bounty, and I have him at 230 million belly. And I know that may seem high, but like I can't see him being. He's going to be at least 200 million because he's the number 3 in the Straw Hat crew. I mean, I believe we're about to see an incredible feat of strength from him. Like whatever he does, it's going to be incredible, and he's going to use it against Big Mom and do some serious damage to that ship somehow, even though he's injured. Because I feel like we've gotten to see Luffy's power up, and with Gear 4, obviously, and then Zoro when he just owned Pika. Oh my gosh, that was awesome. So I feel like we're in for some Sanji action. Um, and yeah, so I'm sticking with like about 230 for him. Maybe like 220 or 210 because I know X Drake has a bounty of 222, and I don't think he's stronger than X Drake as of now. So maybe just below X Drake. I know they don't have to be like exactly, but like I feel like Oda kind of tries to rate people on strength based on bounty. So I'm gonna say like 210 because that seems like perfect. And by the way, I feel like the Bellamy being brothers with Sanji theory would tie perfectly into their bounties being that close to each other. Like if he had a bounty of 210, he would only be 15 million off from his brother Bellamy. So just going back to my theory on that. Okay, Zoro, the number 2, the vice captain of the Straw Hat Pirates, displayed hockey. I mean, destroyed debatably the best executive, and I mean just absolutely conquered Dressrosa. He and fought Admiral Fujitora. So I think he's going to have a bounty of 300 million belly. And the reason I say that is because I was thinking about it, and if you think about it, pre-time skip Luffy had a bounty of 300 million. And I think Zoro is way more powerful than pre-time skip Luffy. The only reason I stop him at 300 million is because he can't be more powerful than like all of the supernovas. Because like Scratch Manapoo, Basil Hawkins, Kid, Law, and Luffy all have bounties over like 325 million, but I think Zoro is literally more powerful than all the other supernovas. Like, I think he literally could beat X Drake. I mean, as of right now, I think X Drake is really strong, but I mean, and I don't think that Sanji could beat him, but I think Zoro could. And I'm a big Sanji fan, but there's no doubt that Zoro is stronger than Sanji. That's why he's the number 2. Um, What else? Okay, now we're moving on to the last one, and that would be Luffy. And I believe that Luffy will have a bounty of 550 million. And the reason I think this is it's a big jump from 400 to 550, but he's taking out another Shichibukai, which the first time he did it, his bounty jumped 70 million, and then the second time he did it, his bounty jumped another 100 million, and he but that was also with the events at Marineford. But you also have to remember that something they just revealed was that Sabo told the Admiral Fujitora, he's like, Luffy is my brother. And so now they're going to know that Luffy not only, they already knew that he was the son of Dragon, but now they know he's the brother of the second in command of the Revolutionary Army. And so his bounty, I believe it would have only gone up 100 million, but I think it's going to get bumped that extra 50 because he's brothers with him. And also, Ace's bounty was 550 million. So I feel like that would be kind of poetic justice if he had the same bounty as his brother who has passed. So that's my theory on everyone's bounties. I hope you guys like it. I think that I thought I backed it up with some sufficient evidence. But I really want to hear what you guys have to think. If you disagree with my list, I'd love to hear your list. Post it below, or and leave the values of their bounties as well, because I'm very intrigued as to what Oda's going to use as their next bounties. They could go even higher if he postpones giving them new bounties. I'm assuming all these bounties are going to happen at the end of Dressrosa, because of all the events that have transpired, especially since in the manga it's been over a year since Dressrosa started. So I think that's my final word on that. But I'd really like to hear what you guys have to think. So please leave a comment in the section below on their bounties. And if you think that you have another candidate for who's joining, who you think because of their bounty, I thought that was kind of creative, because Oda can't tie in someone stronger than the Monster Trio, and if they have bigger bounties than the Monster Trio, then I don't think that they'll join. So yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Alright, Monster Trio signing off.